You are listening to episode number 3 of the Wellness Real Estate Podcast. Today we have Allison Smith from Olivette, a riverside farm-to-table community located right outside of Asheville, North Carolina, here on the show. So, as a real estate agent, why should you care about this? Wellness real estate is a term coined by the Global Wellness Institute, and did you know that it's more than a $134 billion industry already? It began many years ago as developers created this movement to create communities that are more thoughtful in design, that center around the well being of residents rather than density and the bottom line. I recorded this episode a few weeks ago because I'm featuring Olivette in the October issue of my digital magazine, Wellness RE. It's a publication that I create for agents to share with their audience and positions them as leaders in the wellness real estate industry because it's the only publication that focuses on this topic, as well as how to create a healthy home environment. And I know in my own experience, gaining knowledge about what is being developed, the wellness trends from 3D printing technology to eco designs are just things that no other agents are talking about. It gives you something unique and interesting and insightful to bring up in conversation so that it's still within the realm of real estate and it positions you as a leader. So if you're curious to know what an Agrihood is, or if you're looking for interesting topics to discuss at your next gathering, be sure to stay tuned to this episode. Okay, let's grow. Welcome to the Real Estate Marketing Podcast, where we explore a unique strategy no one is talking about that will enable you to engage more people with authentic conversations about your business more often. And it's called Wellness Real Estate. Not sure what that is or how it can help you as an agent? Well, that's what this podcast is all about. In fact, wellness real estate is growing so rapidly that it is projected to be nearly $870 billion by 2027. I'm Sheila Alston, and I'm your host. I'm also the founder of Healthy Home Media, where I help agents all over the country leverage this new trend in the industry to spark new conversations that will get people to listen to you and notice your brand. So if you're tired of spinning your wheels without any leads or sales to show for it, then stay tuned. I guarantee this podcast is not like any you've heard before. Welcome to the Wellness Real Estate Podcast. Asheville, North Carolina has long been a destination for people seeking nature-based health, wellness, and recreation in the southern Appalachian Mountains. Today, it's also the home for the region's first Agrihood, Olivette Riverside Community and Farm, and it's built around a 4-season organic farm designed to connect people with nature, community, and their food. So today we have special guest Allison Smith, who's a founding partner at Olivette Riverside Community and Farm. And I'm so excited to learn more about the community, so stay tuned. Hi, Allison.
Hi, how are you?
Good, nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you too.
I've just been looking at your community and it looks awesome.
Thank you.
It's on the river and it's the region's first Agrihood. Maybe
That's
you could
correct.
just tell us a little bit more about Olivette.
Well, Olivette is actually the first regional Agrihood, the first that I know of in North Carolina. It is a 350-acre farm-based community located on the French Broad River, about 6.9 miles from downtown Asheville. We have approximately 1.3 miles of river frontage and about 4 acres of land in cultivation for organic gardeners. We currently employ 2 farmers that are charged with growing all the crops for Olivette and the surrounding area. And we're quite proud of what we've accomplished so far in the first 6 years of our community.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to ask you. So it's only 6 years old. How many homes are in Olivette?
We have 50 homes that have been completed or near completion with people living there, and we've sold 74 house sites to date. So we also have a fair amount of construction that's happening at this time for people who have just broken ground or getting ready to build.
Yeah, so what is your plan for when it's all built out? How many homes will you have?
We'll have approximately 325 homes in mixed density, and that'll be everything from half acre, acre and a half parcels with homes on them to quarter acre home sites that are directly adjacent to a community green space of some sort. And we will have some townhomes in the mix as well.
Oh, nice. So tell me, I mean, this is a wellness community. maybe you could just tell us a little bit more about what makes it a wellness community, not besides just having a farm.
Well, I think the farm lifestyle and the culture that's created around that lifestyle certainly is a large part of it. But in addition to that, our primary amenities are in outdoor spaces, in trails and parks and places that encourage pedestrian activity. We have community gardens and orchards and all the things that would really encourage people to get out and really be in the natural world.
Exactly. I know we spend so much time in our homes and on the computers and on all this stuff. We need to be encouraged to connect to nature somehow. So get
I
out, have
think
some trails, see your neighbors sometimes.
well, and that's really a pivotal part of our land plan too, when you consider creating spaces for people to gather that are really desirable spaces. So our trail system extends throughout the community. It makes a loop. Currently, it's about halfway around the entire community, about 3.5 miles of interior hiking trails. But they skirt along the French Broad River and they connect up with the farm. And eventually, we'll create that loop that goes all the way around the community, and it'll be close to 8 miles of trail system that we're anticipating. And with that and those shared community spaces like our Riverside Park too, that encourages recreation in itself.
Right.
Just people getting out, spending time with their dogs and
Yeah.
getting physically active. Yeah.
Do you have other gathering centers like a community center or anything like that, or is it really the farm?
It's really the farm. So we have a community pavilion that's down on the river, which gives us a place to gather. And we do have plans in the future to have some sort of community gathering space, but that'll be at a future date. We haven't really. We want to have a certain critical mass within the community to support that. And we also are really committed to not having any amenities that are not being utilized fully. We don't want to create a spike in HOA. So one thing that's been incredibly important to us since the very beginning is making sure that those HOA dues stay static. And part of that is creating an amenity package that is either low cost or pays for itself.
Right. So maybe you can tell us a little bit about the history and how all of it kind of was started and what was the reason for starting it and maybe the design plan. And
Well, it was very serendipitous, and really a lot of it had to do with just finding this piece of property, stumbling upon this piece of property, and falling in love with it because the land itself is just outstanding. Just the views are incredible, and just the proximity to the water, the topography, everything about it. It just made it an exceptional property. Um, the root of the farm-based community, we were pretty much had a farm-based lifestyle prior to starting Olivette,
Mhm.
and that was a very influential part of the beginning part of the plan. But we also were inspired by Serenbe in Georgia,
Mhm.
and what the folks at Serenbe had done with their community. And that really gave us the idea of that, we could take this beyond just a lifestyle preference or a hobby of living farm to table and take that to a wider group and really celebrate that, an old concept that's been made new again, which is that living close to the land and having that farm to table lifestyle.
I love that. So tell me, so you're one of the founding partners. Is there other partners involved?
Yes, there are several other partners involved.
Mhm.
So my primary position is sales and marketing and creative work. My business partner, Scott Austin, uh, fronts all the, he's in charge of infrastructure and all the things that are necessary for a successful community like roads and utilities,
Mhm.
and does an amazing job with that. William Dickerson does land planning and the parks and trails systems. Then we have a couple of silent partners that are involved as well. But we have other members of our team that have been pivotal, that have been there since the very beginning. We have an events coordinator, Erica Harrow, that came on very close to the beginning of our community, and she's charged with really creating a curriculum for educational experiences and also just fun events for reasons for a community, a pivotal part of keeping everyone connected. Elliot Nalen is also on staff, and he's been there since the very beginning. He's charged with energy efficiency and new construction, and models all the homes that are at Olivette and make sure they meet those energy efficiency requirements that we've established for the community.
That's great. So maybe tell us a little bit about all the different like kind of wellness amenities you have, because we didn't discuss the energy efficiency part, but you have the farm and the trails and how the homes are built.
Well, if you consider the impact you have on the land and true sustainability, if you're looking at a sustainable community, one thing that's really important is conservation. So two-pronged approach. One is localizing food source, so you're not getting your food from across the country. So while we can't claim that we eat 100% off the farm, it really does reduce the supply chain on a lot of what we are eating. The other part of it is establishing a pretty rigorous energy efficiency standard. And when we established these standards in 2015, we considered them to be very assertive energy requirements within the community. And that's a home energy rating score of 55 or lower, and all homes must be on geothermal heating and cooling. What we've seen, what we've been pleasantly surprised by throughout the development of the project, is that the community members that are drawn to live at Olivette are exceeding those standards by far, and they're building these beautiful custom homes. They're just like gorgeous custom homes that have very low energy rating scores. Like, I have examples of several homes that are net zero that are like 25 to 2,700 square foot homes that are net zero homes. So and that's not an aberration. I have many examples of that.
That's wonderful. It's true, because you're attracting that type of person to your community because of all
it really, I think the way we established our guidelines really just does draw a certain type of person who's committed to that as well.
So does that mean you guys have solar as well?
Solar is not a requirement, but it is something that people are definitely embracing within the community, and a large percentage of homes within the community have solar. I have been kind of curious myself about gathering up some data around home energy scores and efficiencies and who has solar, and that's something that's on my radar. And if it would support you, I'd be happy to dig in a little deeper to that for some hard numbers.
Oh, well, sure. If it's not too hard, that would be interesting to know.
Okay.
But you don't have to do a ton of research for it. I really just
Okay.
wanted to kind of,
Okay,
I kind of wanted to know just what makes Olivette unique and different. I've been interviewing a lot of different Agrihoods, but every place is different. I know that you guys are on a river also, so that makes it a little unique as well.
It does make it unique, and really, part of our energy, part of our experience of conservation is really focused on those river areas. And we're bordered on three sides by water. We have the French Broad River and Lee Creek that are two predominant bodies of water that come through the community. And we're working on also creating wildlife corridors that stretch along that river frontage and the creek frontage, just to establish and maintain easy corridors for wildlife to go through the community. So some of our amenities within those areas are very low impact, like a dog park or an orchard or community gardens. We're also working on establishing pollinator gardens, so we can support pollinators in our area as well. That's something in the works that we'd like to start now while we're in one of the preliminary stages of our community, and then repeat that pattern as we go through, so we have those orchards and pollinator gardens throughout the community, just to, not just one area, but just pocketed throughout.
Right. Do you plan to have any retail or any like village amenities or anything, like a restaurant or coffee shop? Or
we would love to have that. That's something that when we if you consider the site plan of Olivette, we have on the eastern side of the property, the river park and the pavilion and that community gathering place. On the west side would be the farm stand and the farm areas where people gather. And then in the center, we plan to have a townhome community, and within that townhome community, a village green, and we'd love to have a coffee shop or some light use kind of sundries and perhaps a deli, something like that, something small. We can't compete with Asheville. There's too much good food in this town.
Yeah.
So, but I know we could probably pull off a coffee shop really quickly with just the residents we already have. But
well, yeah, just to have a place to walk to sometimes, like you feel like you want to get your coffee, but wouldn't it be better instead of driving to get your coffee if we just walked on the trail instead?
It would be great. And just a nice place just to have a place to meet people and, sit and visit with a friend. So that's something on our radar for sure.
Did I see that you have a school or something, or maybe you're planning to have a school within your community as well?
We would very much love to have a school at Olivette. We have designated some property that we would like to donate to a school, but COVID was an interesting experiment and having a school actually on site. We had invited a local Waldorf school to join us, and they needed a space for an outdoor classroom last year during the pandemic, and we provided a space for them to put up their canvas tents, and it was a wonderful experience having children on site. But we recognized that created some traffic issues and things that we would have to mitigate. So we're committed to having a school. We're not sure exactly where it will be located at this point. And while we're committed to putting having land available for a school, we're also clear that we're not quite sure where it'll be.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I wonder where I saw that then. Was it on your website?
And so the school itself has been part of when we began with Olivette and acquired the property, the first thing that we did was have a master planning charrette, and we invited local stakeholders, educators, artists, soil scientists, civil engineers, environmentalists that would give us pushback about developing on the river. We just wanted to have everybody involved that may have some say in how this development came to be, because we really wanted that feedback on the front end, not after we made a misstep. The property was just way too special to take any risks. So we had a 3-day planning charrette, and it was just fantastic. So everyone just it was just this free flow of energy and this creative process that brought us to this master plan for the community. We've really adhered to that with very, very small exceptions, and our commitment is to doing that moving forward. So with that regard, the school was a pivotal part of that. We had invited North Carolina Charter School Teacher of the Year, Chris Weaver, to participate that and develop a curriculum for the community school. At this point in time, we have that. It's Olivette Living School. It's very much alive in our hearts, but we recognize that we have to partner with another school that's going to come in and bring their energy to the space as well. So we're hoping that we find something that's kind of aligned in principle with that. It would be definitely something that would be more of an experiential learning school.
And has a garden component or something, nature component for sure.
Definitely.
So that just brings me to the question, when you had this master plan put together, did you have trouble with zoning or getting this development approved by the county or the local residents that are in the area?
Well, we had been very fortunate. We did not receive pushback. We were very thoughtful about our plan. And we submitted to the town of Woodfin, was our governing board, and it's mountain village zoning, so mixed use was a very appropriate use of the space, of the land, and we had pretty swift approval of our plan.
That's wonderful. Was it already just a more rural area anyways? And
definitely rural area, and it's just shy of 7 miles from downtown Asheville, but that puts you in the county and in our area. So it was, to have a large parcel like that undeveloped is pretty unique that close to town, but it was just far enough that while we have neighbors, we've been really careful to be very good neighbors and include our neighbors and let them know what we're up to. If there's anything that we're doing on site that may cause a disturbance for any adjacent neighbors, we're careful about reaching out and letting them know what's happening and making apologies in advance.
Yeah. How many acres is Olivette altogether?
It's just shy of 350 acres.
Oh, I only bring the zoning issue up just because there's another community that's in Oceanside, California, and they've been trying to develop this, but it's in a suburban area, so it's close. It's pretty close. I think it's maybe 10 or 15 miles from the beach, so it's very I don't want to say it's dense because it is a rural kind of area that's close to the beach, but it's got kind of the suburbs all around it. Right. So they were approved by the county, but then it was brought to the public election and then the people voted it down, which I know, but it's just because it's the people who were very vocal in not wanting it. And I don't know, I don't know all the details about it, but there's so many people that want it to happen because they're going to be doing so many wonderful things for the community. It is going to be an Agrihood. And they're really, I'm surprised people voted it down, honestly, but they're appealing it. So
it can be very tricky, and we don't have that process in North Carolina. As far as like the community being able to object on that level to a project. In some ways, I wish we did have that. I hate to say that as a developer, but I see a lot of development around us that's different. Not going to get too deep into that, but feedback in the mountains is important, just for steep slope and issues that can create site disturbances that affect view corridors 20-30 miles and around. So I think it's important to take feedback. We have definitely a different process, but we were really fortunate. I think a lot of that is because we didn't maximize density on this land. We were very thoughtful about how we did it, and really conserving those areas that need conservation and putting those into areas that just utilized by people in a low impact way.
Well, and it probably helped that you brought a lot of people in on the discussions from the very beginning, like you said.
Yes, having that feedback on the front end, especially from local environmental groups, was really an important step for us.
Yeah. So I noticed when I was looking at properties available, they're all land because people are building custom homes and no one has tried to resell their home yet. Everyone loves it.
we've had a couple of exceptions. We've had actually one resale house. We've had a couple of spec homes, but for the most part, people are really happy and staying, and that makes me very happy.
Yeah, well, it'll be interesting to know, in 10, 15 years time, when people do have to leave for whatever reason, the resale that you get from having a planned community like this compared to surrounding homes, what that's like.
Well, we've definitely created value for people who are living there, and we've seen that in land resales already.
How did you guys come up with the name Olivette?
Well, it's the name of the community. Olivette Road is where we're located, and it just made perfect sense for us to just stick with that.
Yeah.
There was a historic railroad station at Olivette down on the river, and drovers came through the area taking cattle from the neighboring county into Buncombe County for sale, and so it just felt like it was important for us to honor that history.
What would you say the residents appreciate most about living there? What's their favorite?
Gosh, I've heard a lot of things, and since really primarily since the pandemic, what I hear more and more often is how happy they are to have, that sense of connection and community, the neighbors, the people that they know and love, because the community is very, very connected. And the other thing I hear a lot is just that how happy they are to have space to stretch out and
Yeah.
to be outside and just right out their back door. There's trails that are interconnected throughout the community through the different neighborhood hamlets to the master trail system. So it's easy to get to a very long stretch of trail pretty quickly.
That's awesome. Okay, and then maybe you can tell us a little bit more about the farm.
Okay.
You have a CSA. How does that work with the community? Everybody gets to just buy from the farm, or I know you mentioned a farm stand too.
We do have a farm stand. So the farm has evolved. We originally started with one farmer and a part-time assistant. And while the community was growing, while we were establishing that critical mass to maintain, to support the farm, we were selling to area restaurants. About 70% of our produce is going to area restaurants. And then we were also selling through tailgate markets and then to residents within the community. The most dramatic shift came during the pandemic. All the farm to table restaurants, the beautiful restaurants that we have in downtown Asheville, obviously weren't ordering food anymore. So we had to make a quick shift. So we quickly expanded our CSA, and we currently have 90 CSA shares that are available. We do release them to community members first, and then we release them to the area at large. So, but we sold out this year, and even with that massive expansion, we feel like it was a successful move and a necessary move for us. And now that the pandemic seems like, maybe we're in a little bit of a lull right now, but restaurant sales have picked up. We're also selling through a local distributor in the area, and we have online sales, so people can order online and just pick up at the farm. And let's see what else we do. Tailgate markets are still very much a thing for us, and the farm stand itself. So there's an honor system. You can pay with a QR code and just grab and go with your produce on your way home from work.
That's nice. So is it a weekly box that they sign up for?
It is weekly. It's actually just like a brown paper grocery sack, and it's full of fresh organic produce every week. And so as we started with the farm stand, we started quite small, just primarily with Olivette farm produce. And what we intend to do is expand that as the farm grows, as the community grows, and there's more critical mass to support the farm stand. We would like to support neighboring farms as well. And currently working with a baker who brings in fresh bread, and a local person who brews Jun elixir, which is similar to kombucha. And we'll have somebody sell eggs, and then we'll have some sundries available too eventually.
Oh, it sounds wonderful. What are you guys growing on the farm?
Well, it's all seasonal. It's all seasonal right now. I just picked up my CSA this week. I have a watermelon, which is so exciting to me. I have a watermelon, lots of tomatoes, okra, peppers, eggplant, the things that you would typically get in the summer, but that does change seasonally. We are a 4-season farm, so they move indoors into hoop tunnels during the winter months in the mountains and grow greens and brassica crops indoors.
Would you say that you guys are a regenerative farm then? Have you heard of that?
I have. I don't know that.
Did you see that Netflix show, Kiss the Ground?
I haven't. I should.
Oh my gosh, it's so good.
Okay.
You'll love it. You'll be inspired because they really talk about how just farming this way and not using all the fertilizers. It started because this farmer basically got hit with all these natural disasters 4 years in a row, and he couldn't afford the fertilizers anymore. So he started looking up how to farm the land the way Thomas Jefferson did, and before all of the fertilizers. And so he just did it this way, and he found that it was so much better, and he ended up I mean, just to see his land next to the neighbor's land that's all barren and looks like a desert compared to his, it looks like Eden. And he just said that it's better for the animals, it's better for the
Oh,
farm.
yeah.
Anyways,
So,
they showed studies that said if just 5% of the farmers became regenerative farmers, it could start a cooling down period and so we wouldn't have global warming and
wow.
reduce it in 20 years.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Okay. So tell me the name of the Netflix
It's
series.
called Kiss the Ground.
Kiss the Ground.
Yes,
Okay.
it's really good. I like it.
It's at the top of my list. Okay.
Okay.
So we practice organic farming methods. They rotate crops. They do not use any kind of chemical fertilizers or pesticides. So in that way, it's regenerative. We haven't gotten into like worm castings and that type of fertilizers. We do still fertilize with manure and augment the soil like that. We don't have any farm animals that I think is, kind of part of that whole concept. So I wouldn't say that we're a regenerative farm.
Yeah, okay.
But I would like to be.
Yeah, you'll love that movie though. I think it's.
Whereas I would like my farmers to do that. I mean, it's a lot of.
It is a
lot
lot
of stuff to the farmers. They're incredible people, and we want to make sure they're supported and have everything they need to do whatever they want to do.
Exactly. That's awesome. Well, I don't know that I have any more questions. I think that this covers it. So I appreciate you meeting with me, and I love learning about the community. I want to visit someday.
Well, I invite you to. I would love to show you around anytime you're in the area.
Yeah, if my husband's a fly fisherman, gosh, if he saw this community, he'd say, "Are you sure don't you want to move over there?" But yeah.
Well, come visit.
Yeah.
Let me know if you need anything else. I'm happy to support you any way I can.
Okay, thanks.
Take care. Have a good one.
Yeah, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Agrihoods have grown in popularity, and according to the Urban Land Institute, as of May 2020, there are 90 currently in the United States. People are wanting to find ways to connect with nature, connect with people, have more space, and everyone loves good food. And so the idea of having organic produce right in your own backyard is really taking off. So in this podcast, you're going to find that I'll be bringing in all sorts of guests, from wellness developers to wellness architects to eco designers to other wellness agents, all so that you can learn about this new, fast-growing segment of our industry, and hopefully to inspire you to reach out and build a local network of green professionals around you, so that you can be the go-to wellness agent in your area. It's only a matter of time before wellness real estate becomes mainstream, and now is your opportunity to get out ahead of that and to become the leader that you're meant to be. Next week, I've got an interview with a company that uses wool for insulation. Apparently, it's so much better than fiberglass. It's non-toxic, it will not mold like fiberglass does because it dries out, and it's great for soundproofing too. So if you're curious to learn more about eco-friendly trends and new discoveries, be sure to catch next week's episode. I guarantee the other regular agents will not know anything about this. So see you next week. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I hope you learned something new that will inspire you to think about your branding and how you can market yourself a little differently. If you enjoyed this episode, then you're going to love what I have for you, because you don't need to wait to go get extra certifications or to grow and expand your network to get started attracting those new leads right now. You can simply begin by talking about wellness real estate trends and what you've learned on this podcast with others. I mean, this is pretty interesting stuff that no one has heard about, and I have all the tools that can make it even easier for you. Wellness Real Estate Magazine is a brand new wellness lifestyle magazine, and it's the only magazine that brings health and home together. We educate readers on industry trends and how to create a healthier home environment, written by industry experts around the country. And we have 3 covers to choose from: Wellness RE, Healthy Home, and Wellness at Home, so you can easily find one that aligns with your unique brand and messaging. These magazines are the perfect done-for-you tools that help you not only stay top of mind, but they educate and engage your audience, which positions you as an industry expert. Differentiate yourself and grow your brand the easy way. Learn more at healthyhomemedia.com.